Last week, Kenny Knox took home an improbable victory to spoil a spot in the Elite Cup Series chase. Can another part-timer get the job done again this week? Last year's chase race brought with it a gigantic crash, which is raising concerns that we might see similar racing and danger this time around. And the final laps of that race brought big disappointment for chase contenders Reese Butcher and John Arndt. Can they find redemption this time? Well, this should certainly look like a familiar sight. Yes, we are back at Riki Raceway, the site of one of our chase races last season, but this time not a part of the chase. It's a little earlier in the season, but definitely a place that could see some amazing competition throughout the night. This is the Riki 500 up here in Canada at Riki Raceway. Hello everybody, Colin Denton here with RVN, excited to bring you another NFRN Elite Cup Series broadcast. Last week we saw an impressive and unbelievable victory by Kenny Knox, the part-time driver racing full-time in the Amateur Cup Series. Hasn't won a race down there yet, but went to Mirage and got it done in his home state. But the interesting thing about that is it opens up a playoff spot in this series, which makes it pretty exciting to see who's going to be the most consistent driver who doesn't have a victory and is going to be able to take that spot. We might see more of them open as the regular season goes on. We've only completed a fourth of it so far, but this is a spot we got to pay attention to. But of course, who's going to be the next winner that will lock in a spot unless it's a part-time driver? We only have 3 locked in right now, and Stuart Gradden, one of those winners, has been storming away from the field. He has 4 straight top 6s, and it's just unbelievable the kind of start that he's gotten off to. But now we got to see if he can maintain that consistency or if someone else is going to step up and get the victory that puts them into the playoffs starting at week number 17. And we got to take a look at where we are headed, which is up in Canada. But of course, we forgot to mention Death Valley, California in our last broadcast. Here's a little bit about the area that we raced in last. It recorded the hottest temperature on the planet in 1913, 134 degrees Fahrenheit. Only experiences about 2 inches of rainfall every year, but also has 1 million viewers to the national park annually. But this time we're going to probably the opposite of that place. We're headed to somewhere a bit cool this time of year, Rimouski, Quebec, Canada. Population of just under 50,000, had a major fire in this area in 1950, burned 319 homes down, known as Red Night. Of course, fortunately, no one passed away in that, and also houses the Rimouski Oceanic hockey team, which was the former team when he was a junior hockey player, current NHL player Sidney Crosby. Now let's take a little bit of a hot lap with our Toyota Camry test car. We'll see going through the tri oval, good amount of banking throughout this entire course, and it's really consistent throughout the front stretch. Turns 1 and 2, you want to kind of keep the low line. That's a good line to have, although we might see the different lines utilized, maybe even effective throughout this one. And of course, danger lurks around every turn. We're going down the backstretch where we experienced that harrowing accident last year. Backstretch not as highly banked as the front stretch is, but going into turns 3 and 4, a lot of speed, carrying around 220 miles per hour around this entire track. No brakes, all gas going around this track and back into the tri-oval. Around 35 to 37 seconds is the average lap time around here. Very fast, and we'll see what kind of speeds they can reach in these stock cars. And of course, we had to go through our part-timer race to see who would qualify for Riki. But early on, lap 1, not even in turn 1, Chris Harley gets up the racetrack in the Callaway, and that takes out a ton of top competitors. Harley, your points leader in the Amateur Cup Series. You see TJ Smith hard contact with the outside wall, and there's Kenny Knox, your last week winner, getting into him. Smith put on probation for his incident last week, and he is taken out of contention to qualify for this race early. They'll go back to green flag after a short caution period. Noah Kim trying to keep the cars at bay behind him, but he's going to end up at the cutoff position as they come around. Griffin Lynn going to be the one that gets to the finish line first. So ultimately, you have Griffin Lynn Justin Rodeback, Robert Harrison, Herjel Arvin Alonso, Eric Van Arsdale, and Noah Kim able to qualify for this one. Both of the Bankles Motorsport drivers making it with Alonso and Lynn. Jack Freeman, once again, just on the outside, not going to be able to make his second start. Dwayne Calloway, who was having a great points start to this season, ends up in 10th. Chris Harley going to be the back end of those who were able to finish the race. And Kenny Knox and Donnie Moore, guys who have qualified for a lot of these races so far, not able to make it. TJ Smith not going to make his second NECS race. And the 5th race of the season also means we get to give away our Hot Seat Award for the first time of the season, and it will come with a helmet cam view for the race, and that award goes to Stuart Gradden this season. To start off, he obviously has 4 top 6s to start off the season, a 3rd place at Columbia, his victory at Pikes Peak, a 4th place at Pigs Cliff, and then a 6th at Mirage. That award goes to the driver with the most points accumulated over the past 4 races, and this is obviously his leading the point standings at this point in the season. And with all that said, it's time to go racing. So let's head down trackside and get the starting command to get started with the Riki 500.
Giving the command to start engines for today's race, you know him as a sports radio host. You see him on TV. Please welcome a friendly voice to sports fans and NASCAR fans everywhere, your Grand Marshal, Jim Rome.
Drivers, start your engines!
And with the engines roared to life, it's time to take a look at the starting grid for tonight's Riki 500. And how about this, folks? The number 29, Pertec Ford of Stuart Gradden, your points leader and your pole sitter for tonight's race. On his outside, Cody Hagan and the number 42, Mountain Dew Baja Blast Chevrolet. Starts in place number 2, earned his first career top 5 at Mirage last week. In the second row, Brad Stover, who is one of 3 drivers who have 2 top 5s registered this year, and Aiden Shepard, who's looking for a rebound after starting as high as 4th in the standings this season. In the third row, we have Johnny Gardner, who has his best start of the season, rounding out the top 5, and Noah Ponser, who got his career best 12th place finish at Mirage. In the fourth row, we have Zachary Fitzwater Sr. lining up bumper to bumper with his Gardner Racing teammate, and Jet Krause, who has quietly picked up 3 top 10s in a row after finishing runner-up at Pikes Peak. The fifth row has Adam Mundinger, currently running 4th in the standings, and Mitchell Mark, who only has 1 lead lap finish this season, rounding out the top 10. Dale Jr. Fan 8883 will start 11th. He's known for qualifying, but not for finishing. We'll see if that changes today. And Jake Baskinger, caught up in a Mirage accident, continuing to struggle so far. Eli Bright had his worst finish of the year at Mirage, and he'll start in place 13 today with Eric Monaco on the outside, just outside of getting his first career top 10 at Mirage. The 8th row has 2 veteran drivers. Noah Carr's barely cracking the top 30 in standings. At the other end of the spectrum, Reese Butcher, currently 7th. The 9th row has the other JR, whose performance peaked at Pikes Peak with a 3rd place finish, but it's gone all downhill from there. And Noah Kim making his 2nd career Elite Cup Series start. To round out the top 20, we have Amethyst Ashley, your Pigs Cliff winner, and Stephen Willie, who is last among full-timers in standings and looking to improve. And you'll see the rest of the starting order flashing up on the screen now, and obviously last week's winner, Kenny Knox, is not able to qualify for this one as he was wrecked out of the part-timer race, and that's a big disappointment to not see one of those huge competitors able to get up here, but obviously it's all fair and square when you're trying to race your way in, and if you get wrecked, you get wrecked, and obviously not able to race in this one. We have 6 other guys, though, that would love to see if they can grab their first career victory, possibly before they even get their Amateur Cup Series win. That would count them into the chase. But maybe we'll see Stuart Gradden already with a victory and leading the point standings, maybe going for his 2nd in just 5 races. He's going to have a lot of competition, and at a fast super speedway like Riki, anything can happen, and it's sure to provide a lot of excitement. So buckle your seatbelts, everybody. It's time to go racing as they come into the tri-oval. They're getting ready to throw the green flag, and it's gone out now, and we're racing here at Riki Raceway. clear. Hagan didn't get the start that he wanted. He's all the way back to 9th already as we start off this one. Gradden able to lead the first lap, and you see the Gardner Racing teammates next to each other, 2nd and 3rd as they run. The team has not had a great start to their season. Obviously, it'd be great to see both of them running up here and possibly contending for a victory. Gardner's currently on the high outside, which is definitely not where you want to be, and you can see Hagan, who started 2nd place, is in that same line and already dropping back outside the top 10. It looks like the 6th car is going to fade along with them as far as this pack continues to move, and Gradden continuing to put the blocks everywhere and try to maintain his lead. Still a 49-lap race, just a lap shorter than it was last year. We got movement in the back. Noah Cars overturned. And a big hit. That's Amos Ashley. More trouble as they rebound back into the field. Hard hit for Ryan Maiden on the inside wall. Nick Smith, Stephen Willie once again. Another accident for the 62 car. Caution obviously out. Now John Arndt, super high up in the standings, running 2nd. And Noah Cars overturned his car and somehow still running. Saw the 99 car of Ryan Maiden. He had a heavy hit to the inside wall. We'll probably see that back on replay. Amethyst Ashley, or Pig's Cliff winner, with heavy damage. '98 car of the other JR. We saw a little bit of movement off the back bumper of Stuart Gradden when we are riding on board of him. Then as soon as we pan away, we see the 44 car up in the air, and we'll try to see how that ended up happening. And now you see Gradden still has the lead, and he's actually waiting for the pace car to catch up, and that's probably where the rest of the field is. You can see them kind of waiting for that pace car to pull back up so they can get all lined up. It looks like we'll see the majority of the field, if not everybody, coming down to get some service early on. Several cars already on pit road trying to repair what they are damaged with. We'll see what strategies bring. Could be some difference in opinion on whether or not to take tires here. Looking on board our drivers, we see Stover is going for tires as well as Brad Stover. And we see Fitzwater Sr., he is blasted out of there. Super hot. He's going to be the one to lead them off. And Gradden is super slow, and finally he pulls away. But all the spots that he got in qualifying now lost to this pit cycle. It's a heavy blow for that 29 team. So let's take a look at what happened here. And there's squeezing 4 wide. Looks like the 92 got into the 7. The 98 is going to run low with some contact. And that's what, and this contact with the 7 and the 92 is also it turns the 44. The 7 heads to the outside. Cody Hagan is going to, his contact with the 44 is going to be the one that sends him over. And as the 57 tries to get around Noah Cars, she hits him and rebounds directly in front of the 98 car, and that honestly might have saved her from having a head-on hit to that inside wall, which is actually kind of fortunate for Ashley's sake, but probably not for the 98 cars. And then 44 rebounding off the 42. Let's take another look from another angle down the track. There's the full speed flip, and then it looks like the 42 and 44, the 42 kind of comes up, and obviously when you're in that much of an accident mode, you're probably oversteering at that point, but the 62 gets collected and into his teammate as well, Jonathan Rains. And they're really squeezed right here, and you see the 99. He's going to have a heavy contact, and that's going to come from Hagan rebounding once again. So there's the contact, and then watch as he goes down the racetrack. He's going to hit this temporary concrete with a lot of speed. Bang! That's a hard hit right there. And we keep watching the 62 car. It looked like he made some contact with the 78 of Philip Fry. 99 is going to come back up the racetrack. We'll see who he hits. We saw the 05 was collected. That might be a part of it. Caesar, wow! Just barely getting by it. And the 05 of John Ort really gets collected in both of those guys' troubles. And then the 62 slides down. Nick Smith runs into him. Looks like Alonso is actually going to miss it. But Stephen Willie, once again, cannot emphasize how bad his luck has gone this season so far. And it's just continuing to pound at him. We've got a couple of onboards. Ryan Maiden, this is going to be a heavy hit to watch. We'll see how he tries to navigate this accident. Everyone's still trying to go full speed. Man, what a heavy hit that was. And honestly amazing we're able to see him continue to pull away from that accident, even though it looks like he's going to be out for this one. Onboard Noah Cars, who's going to be the one that goes over. And simply just pulls away from that one. And finally, we'll have one more on board with Dominic Carranza, who's going to be able to miss this one. Watch this as we head to commercial break. Looking for a way through. Woof! And both he and Orion with some major dodgy moves right there. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Hey, buddy. How's it going? It's me, the deer, right here. Man, I'm bored stiff. I like them shorts, man. I about didn't see you for a second. I'm just blowing your mind, huh? Make your call to the wild, man. Mine's woo! Woo! Chug, 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 chug. Can you grab me a Mountain Dew while you're in there?
Yeah, go down.
What's up, man? How you doing? The wild is calling.
You looking kind of like Dare Earnhardt.
Yeah, a little bit, don't he?
Well, last year was the scene of one of the biggest accidents we had all season, and this was in the first chase race we had in the 2016 season, and several cars overturning, including two of our chasers, which were Stephen Willie and Colin Lindsay, with Andrew Rich in a hard contact there, and everyone just scattered. And there you see both the 62 and there's the 3 of Colin Lindsay going for a flip, and he's going to end up going over the inside wall. Now, we're definitely hoping we don't see another one of these accidents again. That last one, pretty minor compared to that one, but there's still plenty of opportunity and plenty of laps that might bring out another incident like that. And we have 5 cars that have dropped out. Noah Cars, Amethyst Astley, Stephen Willie, Ryan Maiden, and Noah Cars after that large accident. But obviously, still plenty of cars left in contention. We got 37 of them on the track, even though they might not all be up to pace. But we'll see the green flag at lap number 6. And Zachary Fitzwater Sr., after that strategy call, no tires on the car, all fuel. And they're going to see what they can do with track position and clean air rather than tires. It's obviously not terribly necessary to have tires on the car. We mentioned that in the Champions League race, but it comes down to, do you trust them not blowing at any point? And we see his lead is going to be short-lived as Gerard Aron immediately rockets to the front, with Fitzwater's teammate Gardner being the pusher in that situation, and Davidson, the number 11 car, down on pit road. It looks like he might have had a passing penalty. There's been a bit of confusion in terms of where drivers are lining up, but it looks like the 11 car got caught there. And now we see Gardner along with Fitzwater up in 1-2, and they also have their teammate in the Amateur Cup Series, Robert Harrison, able to qualify for this race. And Gardner was one of many drivers who ended up getting a top 10 here last year. Reese Butcher, John Arndt, Gardner Rampage, and Nick Smith among the full-timers this year that had a top 10 last season. Noah Carr's also close in 12th. Eric Van Arsdale, who is a part-timer but also racing today, had a 10th place finish, another one of those top 10s. But Gardner has not had the best of starts so far this season, with a best finish last week at Mirage, but that's only 20th place. So obviously down in the standings right now. The laps led are a good bonus, but a victory is what's needed, especially if you want to make your way into the chase and have a contention spot for the championship. We're watching on board Stuart Gradden, our hot seat for the week, from his helmet cam, currently trying to work his way back to the front after losing all those spots on pit road and running that inside line. He's doing all right. He made it back into the top 10 now, and he just got off the gas a little bit right there as you saw the dash. It's currently blinking red because they're going at extremely high speeds. But once it stops doing that, obviously that means he let off the gas just a little bit, trying to avoid running into somebody. And now the whole pack is starting to run up on lap traffic. 98 car is going to get a handful from Johnny Gardner, the leader. That 98 was involved in that first accident, and then still trying to pull some laps to see if he can maintain points. But certainly doesn't look like that car is up to speed. And now we see them pull up on Davidson, who I believe he's okay in terms of damage, but obviously the pit road penalty, or the penalty that came on the track and forced him on the pit road, has him out of the draft. And now we see Mitchell Mark and Rambo able to get to the inside, and Johnny Gardner's really getting held up by Davidson right now as the inside line propels itself through. Now it looks like Hagan is the slow car that's holding everybody up. Rambo able to lead the lap, and he'll be on the inside, with Gradden back in the third place and contending for second as he goes to the inside of Mitchell Mark. We see John Arndt back here, damaged but still trying to run. And the season has been pretty good for him. In fact, he's only improved from his last year's spot 4 races into the season. He was 8th last year, currently 2nd, which might go down if he stays in the spot he is. And a lot of guys have improved that are veteran drivers. Rampage has stayed the same. Reese Butcher from 23rd to 7th, even though he had won a race at this point last year. Nick Smith improved 21 spots. But John Arndt, he's really doing well right now. His worst finish was 16th at Columbia, the first race of the season. But given that he was in the accident today, he's just trying to pull as many spots as he can. It looks like this is going to be his worst finish so far in the season. Stuart Gradden has made his way back to the front, and now he's back in the lead spot, but Rambo continues to be in contention and looking to the inside to take the lead once again. The first-year driver, 36th in points, and this would be a ginormous victory for him. Even if he wins it, he might still have to contend for being in the top 25 in points, which was moved up from being in the top 35 last year due to the smaller competitive field of full-timers moving from 42 to 36. You'll have to be in that top 25 to continue in the playoffs, but if you get the victory, you earn a playoff berth, and then you'll just have to work your way to keep yourself inside that standing threshold. And we see the pack is now moving up on Philip Fry, and Rambo's able to cut outside of Stuart Gradden, who was trying to see if Fry would give up that inside line, and he did not. And Rambo in the 4-car out to a ginormous lead, which is only going to get sucked up by the lead pack. We see Fitzwater is down on pit road along with Davidson. And I do believe this is a scheduled stop. I think the fuel window is pretty small, but also Fitzwater didn't go for tires last stop, and I think that's what he's having to get now. 14 laps into this race, which means 13 laps on those tires for the 9-car. And finally, it became enough that he had to come in, and he's going to fill the tank as well. Looks like, at the minimum, you're going to need at least 3 stops. But that is going to put Fitzwater a lap down now. Dale Jr. Fan 8883 is up in this spot for contending for the lead. He has an average start of 7.4 so far this season. That's through 5 races, but he has not shown the results to be competitive in playoff talks. And that's really what he has to work on right now. He has to show that he can be up in this front, contend for the lead, and get a victory, or else he's just going to remain the guy that can qualify really well. We see Baskinger as well as Rampage coming in for pit stops. The one car running that white scheme, which will be shown at the night races. In fact, this is the first time the one car has shown a different scheme at any race in league history. In the 84 car, Jake Baskinger also going for 4 tires. And he'll pull off smoothly and see what he can do to get back in the lead pack. And we see a large number of cars from that lead pack are now going to come down and get service, including Alonso, who had led the group. We see Dominic Carranza coming in now. He's holding the top 10 spot in points at the moment. The California driver is. Didn't have a great finish at his home track last week at Mirage. Seeing if he can put himself in contention, just win a race. Of course, that's what everyone's looking forward to. It's going to be 4 tires for the 24 car. And now we see Noah Kim and Stuart Gratton coming down at the same time. So we'll give the lead to the 76 car, who we expect will come down next lap. There's the 64 car, NASCAR Fan 19. Didn't have a great qualifying spot. Neither of the Ramco Motorsport drivers did, actually. Rampage started from the last row. We see the 29 car, as well as Hagan and Stover, your top 3 qualifiers, all coming down at the same time. And Gratton's going to come off at the same time as Kim and actually cut him off a little bit there, trying to maintain his position. The 3 car is going to get around it, but the 29 in hot pursuit and trying to make sure that he stays with the 3 car and doesn't get away from him. We do see Alonso and Baskinger is going to be able to get around him and put themselves in spot for the lead pack. We see Mundinger in now, as well as the 76 car. Mundinger, another driver that's in the top 10 in points right now. He needs a good finish as much as anyone else, especially a victory. It looks like Alonso and Basking are going to be in the spots to be the leaders once they cycle around. I believe this is the last group of cars making pit stops. Poncer and Dale Jr. Fan 8883 pull out, but Basking were able to slip by as the other cars try to merge in, and they have to make this final turn into the tri oval, but it's not going to matter in terms of getting to the lead. The 84 car has that locked up. Heading into lap number 20, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more NFRN Elite Cup Series racing action.
All right, this is the big moment, okay? It's very emotional, so there could be tears. Get my good side. Junior! What's up, what's up, what's up?
Do I know you?
Dewey Ryder, guys. I'm Dewey Ryder. Oh, nobody told you?
No.
Oh, this is awkward. I'm the new you. I'm the new model. I'm the upgrade. You know, I'm going to be driving race cars super fast in circles, riding wild, Mountain Dew, all the time.
In that?
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody races in shorts.
Well, Dewey Ryder races in shorts. I'm going to go ahead and need those keys now.
There's no keys to the stock car.
Oh, keyless entry. Okay, impressive. I'll take this. No, I got it. It's okay. Let go. It's okay. It's okay. You just go on. Just go ahead and clear frame.
Exit frame, Dale.
Is he crying?
No, he's not crying.
Just go in closer. Are you crying?
Will we poke him in the eye?
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. All the way up. All the way up.
This is weird. God.
I'm all the way up. All the way up.
We return to racing action here at lap number 22 of 49, and you can see that it's really turned into a 9-car breakaway out here in the lead group, and Stuart Gradden obviously been dominant this entire season and is leading the way. Gerard Aron, who's had pretty much the complete opposite season, a lot of bad luck. He's currently running second, and he just peeking underneath Gradden right now, and looks like he's actually going to take contend. He's going to contend and take over the lead spot from the 29 car. Gradden's making it really difficult. Noah Ponser now joining him, and now the inside line with all the momentum of the draft. As mentioned before, it looks like about 9 cars have grouped up after pit stops, and obviously that's what's going to split up a big group, and these guys are all trying to stay connected right now. For Aron, it's been 3 races of 38 or worse. And he's really trying to improve on that. And obviously running up here right now is pretty good, and he can't even finish worse than 38 considering that there's already 5 cars out. So he's already got that locked up for him, but don't want to get yourself into more trouble than you need to, especially when you're having as good of a run as you are right now. And we see further back, this is a second group that has formed up. So beyond the 9 cars up front, you also have about a dozen or so cars in this group that are trying to stay on pace. Zachary Fitzwater Sr. had to take a premature pit stop because of taking no tires the first time, looking to get back up here. And he went from his highest finish, which was 14th at Pigs Cliff, to what was his second lowest finish so far this season at 39th. His lowest was 40th at Columbia, where he was involved in an accident after I believe it was Caleb Campbell that plowed into the back of him after that big wreck in the first couple laps of that race. But the 9 car looked like he had contention to win. He might still, and if there's any case that the group packs back up, but the fact that he had to take that early pit stop really did not help him in this situation. Now we see Gradden, actually looks like the pack split up a little bit, and I think that slow cars had to do a little bit with that. As we watch the onboard of the 29 car on his helmet cam, and it already looks like they're caught back up, and I think the 78 car, yep, that's Philip Fry, another slow car that is holding up the pack a little bit. Fry was able to earn his first career top 5 at Mirage, but he's having the complete opposite day today, running for 35th, involved in that first accident, and holding up Gradden a little bit. That's going to move the 29 car back to 9th place, it should be. Noah Ponser currently with the lead. Oh, and there's trouble further in the second pack. 97 and 34 car. Mundinger and Kraus, both heavy contenders for the playoffs. Both crunched in this one, along with the 98 car already involved in that first accident of the day. Saw the 98 spin off the, I believe it was the front of the 97. As they come to the caution, looks like Alonso's going to be the one that leads. The part-timer going to get a couple laps led. We also have Noah Kim up here, looking to have a little bit of shades of Kenny Knox. See if they can steal a victory in the Elite Cup Series before they even get their win in the series that they're contending a championship for. They're going to take a long road around the track, and they were pretty close to pit stop, so I think that they will actually take them again this time around. And it helps that they're under caution. Keeps it all slow. David Davidson getting his position back and making sure he's not a lap down. But yeah, I think the 98 car was actually a lapped car at that point, so it's certainly going to be frustrating for Adam Mundinger and Jet Kraus. Both of those guys were running in the top 8 in the standings. And there's heavy implications for being involved in an accident that's going to send you back into the deep 30s in the results page. Alonso and Kim on the apron. That means they're going to come in for pit stops. But this is actually going to be a split strategy as we see Aron, Ponser, Gradden, and Arndt. 05, I believe, is a lap down at this point. You see Fitzwater Also pulling around. I think he actually came in a lap early, so that means that Fitzwater is a lap down. He was taking pit stops as that accident occurred. But obviously 3 front contenders coming down for pit stops. Alonso pulls off. I believe there's a little bit of damage on the front of the one car. It's currently the highest running Ford, and I think the fact that Mundinger got wrecked out was a big cause of that. And it looks like Alonso is going to maintain his position. Philip Fry came in behind, but I think at that point he was a lap down. I don't know if he was supposed to be in at that point. Or if the 78 car is going to get a penalty for pitting too early. These lapped cars aren't supposed to pit at the same time. But Alonso will maintain, well, rather, he led the way off, but I don't think he'll be the leader, given the pit strategy. So yeah, it looks like the 97 tried to cut up and go to the outside of the 98. Looked like he was going low, but then the 98 cuts back to the outside and doesn't realize the 97's there, even though there's a huge speed difference at that point. Justin Roadback gets involved, but I think somehow he's going to save it. And that is huge for that part-timer who's looking to make a name for himself. And the 97, he hit the inside barrier that splits pit road from the track. And as he comes up, it's Jet Krause. He barrels straight into the 97 car. I mean, Van Arsdale looked like he was super close in that one as well and barely made it through. 98 spins to the inside. He'll hit the inside wall as well. Once again, an incident that could have gone a lot worse and pretty minor in nature compared to what we saw last year. We'll look from a different angle now, and yeah, the 98 contact with 97, who looked like he was going to try to go to the outside to make sure he got around him. The other JR going a little bit slower. And there's the contact the 14 car made. And I think the rebound that the 98 gave on him was able to correct him to keep going straight. And a really good job by these guys in this pack for avoiding it. And watch the 27 cars. The 97 comes up. There might have even been contact there because the 27 cuts down low. But for as much as bad as that could have been, amazing job for the 27 to miss that. Even if it just came down to luck, because there was really nowhere else he could have gone, and that's exactly the case of the 34. He had nowhere he could go except for possibly braking, but at that point, the reaction time is just too short. And we'll watch one on board before we head to commercial break. This is from the 97 car as he looks to get around the slow car of the 98. And yep, the 98 just ill-advised block right there and heavy contact with the 34. More NFRN Elite Cup Series racing action after this.
Okay, next up is item CRB 218634, a 1992 Chevrolet Astro van fuel injector spider.
Spider?
Yeah, see how it's got these legs sticking out from it? Like a spider.
Yeah, but it only has 6 of them.
So?
Well, that makes it an insect, not a spider.
My cue card says spider.
I'm just saying 6 legs makes it an insect, you know, like a fly. It'd have to have 8 to be an arachnid.
Arachnid? I thought they had pouches.
No, that's marsupial.
Although the season has started, it's never too late to sign up for the NFRN. Link down in the description. Anybody that doesn't have a ride so far can sign up to run part-time in the truck series and try to race their way in through part-time qualifying. The deadline for race 3 has passed, but the race 4 deadline now open. So make sure to get yourself in if you aren't already. Back at Riki Raceway, but look at this, the 91, the 92, and the 29 on the apron and headed for pit road as they're getting ready to go green. Pace car pulling off now, and a huge development for some of the front runners, including point leader Stuart Gradden. Green flag flying once again. Your current leader is Alonso, who came off pit road first, and there's a couple cars like Fitzwater and Davidson that were at the front of that pack, but Fitzwater went a lap down for pitting before the caution came out. And we saw Tyler Markell. Looks like he's out of the race. Let's take a look, and I believe we see what happens here. Oh, man! And he was down on the apron for some reason, but so was Mitchell Mark. I have no idea what happened there, but that was under caution. And that puts the 48 out of the race, and another guy that couldn't afford another bad finish gets caught up in a bizarre incident under caution flag, and that is just terrible for another veteran driver. But we see up here the 15 car. Both of the Bank-Nichols Motorsport drivers qualified for this race. Alonso in the 15 and Griffin Lynn in the 25. Lynn hasn't had as good of a race as Alonso has. He's kind of running further back in that second pack. For the 15 car of Alonso, he made his Elite Cup Series debut at Pigs Cliff and finished 28th, wrecking out in that one, which obviously a lot of cars did. But this could be a much better finish for that Filipino driver, who's the only international driver in the Amateur Cup Series. Looking to see what he can do here. We see that Stuart Gradden at the front of this pack now, but he's obviously trying to keep himself from going a lap down after he had the pit there. And that situation with him, as well as Iran and Ponser, was very similar to what occurred with Colin Lindsay in the Champions League race, where they came down as soon as the pace car came down. Almost seems like they didn't know that they were going to go back to green, and that's because they're taking 2 pace laps rather than a normal 4 or 5. I'm not sure why they're not coming down at the start of the pit cycle, but these teams are really getting thrown off because it looks like they're not running as many pace laps as teams expect them to. You see the 64 car, he's up in the top 5, and we haven't heard of him all day rather than a little look in at pit road. He hasn't actually ran up here at the front of the field. Now we see Mitchell Mark back on track, but he's slow, and he's going to hold up 76. Stuart Gradden's going to get around. And obviously that 29 is hoping for a caution at any point in time. He really needs for a caution to come out for him to have any shot at winning this one now, because he is so far back. That's going to be difficult at this point. And it seems like the lap traffic is actually bringing both of these groups back together. I'm not sure what split them up in the first place. Aiden Shepard to the inside of the 1 car. Currently running 12th in points, and that's the result of a couple of bad races at Pigs Cliff and Mirage. He was in 4th place for both of the first 2 races of the season. And that's in standings. Of course, the 4th place finish at Columbia, not the same at Pikes Peak, but maintained his points position. Now he's losing spots after that sponsorship transfer from Powerade to Pepsi Max. And the 76 made the ground back up to the 29, and Gradden's getting held up by his teammate, the other JR, who's obviously running slow and still somehow on the track after being involved in 2 accidents. But Gradden cannot be happy that his teammate is holding him up. So many cars going underneath him, even if they're not for position, it's holding him back from getting back onto the lead lap. And now we see William Brock all the way up to 4th place. We haven't heard of him either. He started almost just inside the top 30, but he hasn't been up front all race. And now he's suddenly up in 4th position. A veteran driver who would love to see a victory and make his 2nd playoff appearance. Back up at the front, we see Justin Roback, who just made his way around that accident that brought out a recent caution, and Eric Monaco just having a mediocre season. Wow, look at Justin Roback to the outside. I'm amazed that that damage has not affected his performance. He just soared to the outside of the 33 car and moves his way in the 2nd. And now Brock to the inside of Monaco for 3rd. Almost seems like the 33 is losing the speed. And he's watching the entire lower line go underneath him. a ton of spots lost for that 33 car, who would love to see a victory. He's running pretty mid-pack in the standings right now. The 76 car continues to lead laps, and that's going to be big for Dale Jr. Fan 8883, who hasn't had the best of runs so far. His qualifying efforts have been stellar, and he's only one of 2 drivers that are full-timers that have at least a average starting position of 10, and the other being Reese Butcher. So he can take a lot of pride in that, but if you can't finish as good as you start, then there's not much point. And William Brock starting to pounce on the 76 car. That number 23 Toyota is really showing some speed now, and he's making the move to the inside of the 76. Remember, William Brock has never led a lap in Elite Cup Series competition, and he's the only Season 1 driver who has never done that. All 41 competitors last season led a lap, and he has not, even extending into this season, but he's going to get it. Finally, a lap led for the 23 car. So that's a big achievement for William Brock, but now it comes down to, can he make a move to win the race? It's going to come down to a lot of defensive driving. And he tried to put the block on the 76 car, who cut in on him late, but wasn't able to pull it off. But actually, the 76 is going to come down to pit road. We see road back as well. Van Arsdale, Bruno De Barros, Rambo, a whole lot of front runners pitting this time, but William Brock stays out, as does Jake Baskinger and Eric Monaco. Watching the 76, who could be the big competition in this one. And it's going to be a 2-tire stop for the 76, we're hearing on the radio. They're making sure the tank is filled, but obviously keeping 2 tires on it saved a little bit of time. And they're going to pull away and see what they can do to catch back up to William Brock, who might come in this time around. And he does. We'll see if the 23 pulls off the same strategy. And it will be a 2-tire stop for the 23 as well. Grabs his first couple of laps led. Now looking to see if he can extend that into a victory. Split screen on both of the top runners right now. William Brock pulling off pit road. Dale Jr. Fan 8883 on the tri-oval. And this might be a close race, as 23 still got to pick up a little speed coming through the corner, which has a little bit less distance than the outside line. But as they pull off, it looks like the 23 car is going to have to settle for second right now, but he might get the draft to catch back up to the 76 car. We've seen it pretty effective, not only last season, but at the last race, which was the Champions League race. That came down to a battle between Van Arsdale and Johnny Gardner, and speaking of that battle, Van Arsdale looks like he has the upper hand among those drivers, and a little bit of lap traffic for the 76, with Gerardo Ron and Jonathan Rains. Van Arsdale, your Champions League winner, part-timer in this series, running fourth right now. Can he pull off a sweep this weekend at Riki? Stuart Gradden pulls back on the racetrack. He had to come down once again, which means the 29 car is still fighting to stay on the lead lap. Aron kind of holding up the 76 a little bit, even though I don't think the 91 is necessarily damaged. He did come down when he was a front runner. Now he's just trying to keep himself on the lead lap. We see William Brock running second right now, Van Arsdale third. And the low line is running pretty slow. 23 trying to utilize the high line and use that draft to catch back up, and it looks like he's going to get to the outside, but who's going to have the advantage? Crash on the backstretch. The 77 and the 3. Noah Kim with some damage. Jonathan Rains also around. That's going to be a late caution flag. Who's going to be able to get to the finish line first? And it looks like the 76 has it. Oh, he crashed! And Van Arsdale taken out as well! Heading into turn number 1! And they had just taken the caution flag. And a big hit to the driver's side door of the 27. Julio Cesar and Bruno de Burgos. Absolute insanity late in this race. Dale Jr. fan 8883 took the lead. And contact made between him and Stuart Gratton. Second place runner Van Arsdale taken out as well. That gives the lead over to William Brock. We gotta watch this one more time. They're past the start-finish line. They've taken the caution. Then the 76 changes lanes. I don't know what in the world he was thinking there, but he did not have the clearance. And the leader basically takes himself out and takes Gratton with him. Gratton didn't beat the 76 back to the line. He was going to stay a lap down. Iran did. And the 27 got clipped on the way. And he was running in second place. And Brock is going to be able to miss all of this, as well as Jake Baskinger. I think Brad Stover also going to get a little bit of damage as well. You can see he's down in this pack with the 76 and the 27. And the 76 comes up just a little bit, makes a little rub with the 4-car of Rambo. And the 27 ran back up the racetrack. And watch this driver's side door bang! Huge contact with Julio Cesar. And Bruno de Burgos goes over, making contact with the 0 car. That is not the first time he's had a hard hit. Pigscliff was a monstrous hit for him, along with Nick Smith. And now he's involved in a second terrible accident, head-on into the side of the 27 car. As we lose sight of him right there, let's take another look from another angle. They just didn't slow down. Oh my gosh. And amazingly, no other cars involved. That holds almost the same kind of strength as the last as the 2016 accident, even if it's not in size. Oh, absolutely terrible hit. We're gonna head a quick commercial break just before we finish off this one. On board with Stuart Gratton, and watch as he sees this one. 76 definitely coming up on to Gratton. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
I was made in the shadows of greatness, shaped by the hands of legacy, forged in the fires of racing. I've been challenged, tested, and proven. Whether it's on that track or off, the truth is, what you're made of is what you're made to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've seen it all today, and we honestly cannot believe what we've seen. But we have 3 laps left in this race. William Brock is your new leader. He just led his first career lap, and now he's got to hold off the rest of the pack to see if he can get his first career victory. Green flag flies, 3 laps left in this one. 84 car cuts underneath Stover. That's going to be for second place. And a 55 moving a little bit sluggishly. It looked like he was involved in the accident prior, and it looks like that might be making an impact now. Brock looking to the inside of the 29. That would make Gratton a lapped car. And the fact that he got squeezed into the wall makes him look pretty slow. I think he's not performing up to his standard. But he is not going to be a factor in this one now. 2 laps to go. Rambo on the bumper of the 23 car. William Brock, a veteran driver, looking for his first career victory. So is the 4 car, running 36th in points right now. Justin Roadback, the 14 car, part-timer, has the best position among the Amateur Cup Series drivers to make them go back-to-back. They're pretty single file right now, drafting off each other as they come off of turn number 4. White flag displayed in the air. Brock continues to lead as he cuts down low, tries to make the block on the 14 car. And it looks like the 14 is going to have the advantage through turns 1 and 2. Oh, but he is not. The 23 car with a huge momentum boost off of the turn. And Baskinger in the 84 car looking to make it 3 wide going into turn 3. This is Brock's race to lose now. 3 wide behind him for second, but Brock leads them off the corner. Can anyone make a move to catch him? No, they cannot. William Brock gonna win his first career race at Riki Raceway. Cap off a fantastic weekend of racing, with Van Arsdale going double in the Champions League. William Brock leads his first ever lap and makes it his first ever victory. Absolutely incredible racing here tonight. And that is going to be one for the 23 team to celebrate tonight. Well, another exciting finish here at Riki Raceway. This track is definitely not disappointing. And William Brock able to take home his first career victory. That is amazing. And Jake Baskinger makes it 1-2 for Toyota. Another great finish in that driver. He really needed that, as well as Eric Monaco. He'll come home third. Part-timers, Justin Roadback, Herjol Arvin Alonso finishing 4th and 5th. Great runs again for part-time drivers. Ramco Motorsport teammates NASCAR Fan 19 and Rampage finish in the top 10. And don't count out Alonso's teammate Griffin Lynn, who made his first start since Columbia, and he brings it home 14th, so a great second race for him. Both of the Gardner Racing teammates finished here. Johnny Gardner had his run up front, finished as 11th, and Zachary Fitzwater Sr. caught off guard by pit cycles, ended up being the first car lap down. Gerard Duran was lucky to stay on the lead lap. He'll finish 19th. The next 10 drivers include all 3 of the RPG 7 Motorsport drivers. Stuart Gradden, really bad luck at the end of that one, and just in general, being caught off guard by the pit cycles, putting him a lap down in the first place. Definitely not what he wanted to see, and that's going to be his worst finish of the season so far. We'll see if that affects him in the standings, and it obviously should affect him a little bit. Three guys at the bottom of the list, John Arndt, Philip Fry, the other JR, all finishing 3 laps down, trying to keep it intact after being involved in the first accident. And Dale Jr. Fan 8883 did not officially drop out. He still finished 2 laps down in 27th place. But what could have been for that driver who's qualified so well this season and wrecks himself, if he's being honest with himself, running up on Stuart Gradden. And I think we're a little bit fortunate that this list of DNFs is a bit shorter than it was last year. All the way from 32nd down, starting at Bruno De Barros, who was obviously involved in the huge hits that came along with wrecking with Eric Van Arsdale. As far as we know, all 3 of those drivers that were involved in that huge last accident are okay for the time being. We'll see if they have to be transported anywhere, but from the infield care center's sake, believes that it sounds like they're all doing okay. And rounding out the list, you have the veteran driver of Nick Smith, and definitely not a place you want to be in, but just got caught up in the big accidents here today. So as we take a look at the standings, and Stuart Gradden is actually going to stay in the lead spot. I think the fact that he beat out John Arndt by a few positions helps him out there. And Rampage and NASCAR Fan 19 with their top 10 finishes are actually going to propel themselves up into the 2 and 3 spots, and that's huge for that team. Definitely showing the dominance that they've had throughout the series in the past 2 seasons. And they don't have the victories yet, but Rampage now shifts into the spot that is opened up by Kenny Knox's win Reese Butcher ends up in 4th place, and Brad Stover in 5th. Seems like we're getting a little bit of slippage from our winners so far this season. Julio Caesar, after being involved in that accident, falls all the way down to 9th place. Amethyst Ashley down in 14th place as he was knocked out by the first accident of the night. But William Brock, that victory actually propels him upward, obviously. And he's in 13th place now, and they'll all have to make sure they're within the top 25 in points by the end of the regular season. It seems like for both Graden and Jet Krause, the honeymoon ended in terms of getting those top 10s that they had a streak on. They are not going to be able to maintain that. Jet Krause only still in 11th after wrecking out. And Dale Jr. Fan 8883, despite the accident, still 12th place in points. He still has a potential to catch back up, but he really needs to make sure he can keep himself clean. And I don't think he'll have any implications from the accident that it looked like he caused. It just seems like a racing thing, but definitely not something you want to do yourself. You can see the 2nd and 3rd place finishers, Jake Baskinger and Eric Monaco. Those were definitely good runs for them to propel themselves up into the top 20 in points, and they'll definitely be looking to make a late playoff run this season. Moving a little bit further back, Dwayne Calloway didn't qualify for this one, so he dropped quite a few positions all the way down to 22nd. Johnny Gardner finished his best so far this season with the 11th place run, above his 20th place at Mirage. Moves his way up to 23rd in points. Nick Smith got knocked down quite a bit by his last place finish, all the way to 27th. Looking further down the list, Gerard Ron and Zach Fitzwater Sr. running 19th and 20th respectively. They've had some solid mid-pack runs, but the fact is they've had terrible luck the first 4 races of the season, and they're remaining pretty far down here, as well as Tyler Markell, who had the pretty bizarre accident earlier in the race, and that puts them all down here near the bottom of the list. But obviously the bottom spot remains with Stephen Willie still among the part-timers with his terrible run so far, and his 40th place finish today definitely not helping him out. As we look at the team standings, it should come as no surprise that Ramco Motorsports is continuing to dominate. They were leading at the end of last week, and considering RPG7 Motorsports' performance today, definitely gained some ground and extended that gap all the way to 21 2/3 points. AMI Incorporated rounding out that top 3. Callaway Brothers Racing obviously dropped a little bit with Dwayne not qualifying. Thunderhawk Motorsports is trying to get themselves up there. I think Noah Cars' bad placement today kind of ruined any good performance that Caleb Campbell had compensated for. But we're seeing that a lot of the guys that were really dominating for teams like Kenny Knox and Donnie Moore, who are trying to keep these teams up in standings, the fact that they didn't qualify kind of knocks them down. We'll round things off with a look at the Rookie of the Year standings, and Stuart Graden obviously continuing to lead these, but Brad Stover running in 2nd place on that, with Jack Krause, Julio Caesar, and Amethyst Ashley just following, and we'll run through the rest of these. Obviously, they're calculated a little bit differently than the normal point standings, so obviously top 10s are a bit of a bonus, and you want to be in the top 10 among rookie drivers. That makes the points a little bit different than you might see them in the regular standings. As example, Dale Jr. Fan 8883 running 12th in the regular standings, but 18th in the Rookie of the Year. Obviously, it doesn't seem like it matches, but just the way the points system runs. But Graden's been off to a huge start so far that obviously that's putting him up top by a significant margin. So that is going to bring this 5th race to a close. Thank you all for joining us here today. Our next NFRN competition will be at Grand Detour with the Amateur Cup Series, but our next Elite Cup Series broadcast will be the All-Star Race. We'll have the Open preceding the main event, and we'll see who wins the fan vote. Thank you all for joining us here. For RVN, I'm Colin Denton, and we will see you all next time.